Good evening and a very warm welcome to Azim Premji University's information session webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Beeta. I'm from the admissions and outreach team. And today we are here to discuss about the programs that we offer. Uh, Before that, briefly about Azim Premji University. Um, yes, we have a Anjali, you can change the slides, please. Yes, established in the year 2011, we are a fully philanthropic and not for profit entity with a clear social purpose. Education for social change to contribute to a realization of a just, equitable, humane, and sustainable society. So, those are the statistics that you see of the university. Yes, we can proceed to the next slide. What you see is the image of our university campus in Bangalore on the left and the university in Bhopal. Bhopal, this is going to be the first year, and we start operations from 2023 academic year. We offer BSc Honors 4-year degree program and BA Honors 4-year degree program. And we also offer the 4-year dual degree program, BSc B.Ed. But today, we are here to discuss the BA Honors program in detail. And we have the following faculty who have joined us today, and they will speak about the program. The programs that we offer is BA Economics, BA English, BA Philosophy, BA History, and BA Social Science. Yeah. And these are the faculty who have joined us today. Dr. Anand Srivastava is here from the Faculty of Economics, Dr. Shalini Srinivasan from the Faculty of English, Dr. Aditi Chaturvedi, Faculty of Philosophy, and Dr. Sunandan, who will address us on social science as well as history. So we'll start with Dr. Anand Srivastava, who will take us through our 4-year undergraduate program that we offer, along with the economics program. Yeah. Over to you, Dr. Anand.
Thanks, Vita, and welcome everyone. So we'll briefly go through the undergraduate curriculum. The detailed curriculum, of course, is up on the website, but we'll see some broad features of it. We'll go to the next slide. So the overall curriculum has these 5 main parts. The second one, the disciplinary major, we will talk about each major separately. You heard about it from Beta. We have economics, English, philosophy, history, and social science. But there are 4 other parts of the curriculum as well, which are also equally important. And I'll quickly go through them one by one. Next slide, please. So the common curriculum is in the first 3 semesters of the program, which is taken by students of all majors. This builds foundational capabilities, and you can see some of the courses here. I think Shalini will talk about this in a little more detail later. Next slide, please. So all students are required to take an interdisciplinary occupational minor, right? So this starts in the second year, the 3rd semester. And the idea is that along with the disciplinary major, so students will gain a depth of understanding in the subjects in the disciplinary major. They also take one of these occupational minors, and you can see some of the examples that are mentioned there: arts and design, climate studies, data democracy, and so on, which will prepare students to join the workforce immediately after graduating. Right, so the students will make this selection at the end of the first year, so you would have had some exposure to your own discipline, and we will of course advise you, and faculty and the academic advising team will work with you to help you choose. You will have courses in this going on from the 3rd semester to the end of the 4-year program. There will be courses that will be in the classroom. You will also have field courses where you actually go out in the field and work in these areas. And we hope to make you prepared to join the workforce in one of these areas if you so desire. Next slide, please. The advantage of the 4-year program, the expansion, the current program is 3 years and we are expanding it to 4 years. One of the major areas where we are expanding, where the credits are opening up, is in flexible credits. So potentially every student can take up to 10 courses in a variety of different areas, right? and you can design, in some sense, you can design your curriculum to suit what you want to do. So you can either take additional electives in your major. So if you are, say, a history student who wants to do more courses in history, you can take a number of additional electives. You can do a minor in another discipline. So if you are doing history and you want to do some courses in economics, we will have a set of courses in economics that you can do so that you can get a minor in economics. Or you can do supporting courses. Students who need additional support in maths, English, or other things can do those courses as well. So this basically allows each student to tailor the curriculum to their own interests and requirements. Next slide, please. And finally, in the fourth year, you have the option of taking either a internship or a thesis. Right? This is also, again, another step in preparing you to join work after graduation. So if you are interested in going into work, you can, we will help you do an internship, which is either in your area of disciplinary major. So if you are an economics student, we may help you do an internship in an economics organization, or in the interdisciplinary minor that you have chosen, right? So if you're working in say health and fitness, we may place you for an internship in a health and fitness organization, right? So that's one option. But if you're interested in doing research work, then you can do a research thesis where you will get one-on-one mentoring with one of the faculty in your discipline, and you can work on a research project over the entire final year to gain research experience and specialize in the direction of research. This is another place where students will be able to choose what they want their student experience here to be like, and based on what they want to do after graduating, right? So along with disciplinary major, which is just one part of your curriculum, you will also do, as I said, common curriculum in the first year, which all students of all majors do. Then you have to choose an interdisciplinary minor in your second year. Additionally, you have flexible credits by which you can customize your program to your own requirements. And then in the final year, you have a choice between doing a research thesis or an internship, right? So that's the broad contours of the undergraduate curriculum. We can come back to it later if you have questions, and of course the details are up on our website for you to see. Next slide, please. The additional point, which is in accordance with the new the NEP, is that there is an option to exit at each of the 4 stages, and based on at what point, if you choose to leave, you go out with either a certificate, a diploma, a degree, or a degree with honors at the 4 years. Of course, we expect all students to join us with the 4-year degree, the honors degree in mind, but the exit options are available if you so choose. Thank you. The next, shall we go to the economics major? Yeah, thanks. So just a few slides on the economics major. That is the discipline in which I teach. Next slide, please. So this is a broad statement which is at the beginning of our economics program. I would like you to pay attention to the bolded words there. We expect economics students to be philosophically grounded, historically informed, sociopolitically engaged, and quantitatively adept. Now, you would realize that this is quite a high bar that we think our students should be able to achieve, but the curriculum is designed to try and help students get this breadth of knowledge in all these allied areas, along with depth in understanding economic theories and concepts. Next slide, please. So these are the 6 points that are key to the curriculum. I will not explain each of them in great detail, but I'll pick up a couple of points that make, I think, our curriculum unique. One is the knowledge of Indian context and the knowledge of real-world economic institutions. As you would be aware, economics is a very theoretical and abstract subject as it is taught in most of the places. But we think of it as something that students should relate to the environment around them, to the society around them. Hence, the way our courses are taught, they are clearly established in the context in which the students are, and we stress that students understand how the actual economy works and not just be lost in models and abstract algebra, right? That's one of the, and when we do that through field engagement, students go out, students work with actual data, students work, students are asked to read actual news reports and summarize them, right? So the key point is that they understand how the economy works in reality. The other point is independent research. I think the one of the key points of not only the economics program but the undergraduate program as a whole is the high faculty to student ratio. So there is a possibility of a lot of individual mentoring, and of course the research thesis is there, as I pointed out earlier. But even other than that, in many of our courses there is a term paper or a research part of the course where students engage with faculty on a very detailed basis to understand how to ask and answer questions. So we don't just think of research as an additional thing. It is a pedagogical tool. It's a way which we think students learn better when they can ask their own questions, and then we just kind of show them the way towards answering them. Thanks. Next slide. This is just the list of the compulsory courses in the economics curriculum. There are 10 of them. As you can see, there some of them are what you would expect, Introduction to Economics 1 and 2, but they're not taught in a standard way. We have a textbook called Core Economics that we have co-developed along with other universities, which introduces economics in the way economics is done in the 21st century. You will also see courses like Economic History and History of Economic Thought, which correspond to our vision of what economists should be. They should not only be focusing on economic model, but also understand the history of economics and of economic thought, which will help them understand the current problems better. So these are 10 courses that every student has to take. But along with this, every economic student has to take. But along with this, we have a list of elective courses, which is on the next slide. Right? So every student has to take at least 5 elective courses. As I mentioned earlier, students also have flexible credits. So if they want to take more than 5, that is also possible. Here is a broad list of elective courses, and this is not a fixed list based on faculty availability and interest and student interest. We also offer different electives from year to year. But this is the place where students who are interested in particular subfields or particular areas of economics, they can specialize in those areas by choosing the electives that are most relevant for them. So I'll stop with that. If there are further questions on economics, we can come back to this later. Thanks, Geeta.
Yes, thank you so much, Anand. I know we are going to be getting a lot of questions, so please hold it for end of the session. But I definitely have one question, Dr. Anand. So I need to know, this is a question we always hear. What do we need to do mathematics in our 11th and 12th to apply for a course in economics in Azim Premji University?
Thanks, Vita. So the quick answer is no. We don't expect you to have done maths in 11th and 12th to apply to the economics program, but economics does need maths. So if you have not done maths in 11th and 12th, we have courses here which will equip you with the mathematical tools that are required in the economics course. So no, you don't have to have done maths, but you should be prepared to do maths once you come here.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. And we will come back to you when there are more questions in the chat also. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Shalini, who will speak to us about the English program that's being offered. But before that, she will also talk about the common curriculum that we offer in our university as part of the undergraduate program. Over to Dr. Shalini.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to quickly run you through the common curriculum. These are courses that everybody does in their first semester. Typically, these are mixed classes. So even if you're an English major, you'll share your classroom with students from mathematics, students from physics, students from history, and so on. And the idea of these courses is that they are meant to equip a student to do any further course in the university. Right? So they equip you with sort of fundamental skills that you will need for any courses you might do here or outside. So there are 2 critical reading and writing courses. I teach one of them actually. These are meant to help students communicate neatly, concisely, effectively across a variety of different kinds of genres. Right? You might think in terms of academic writing. You might think in terms of slightly more public writing, and so on. Then there's public reasoning, which focuses very heavily on letting students build up their reasoning skills, on being able to sort of critically evaluate something and speak about it to a larger audience. There are creative expressions courses, which well, these are the fun courses, right? Their music, their art, their dance, their sports. They're all the courses that expect you to be able to express yourself. Then there are the Understanding India courses. These are the courses that, and you can ask Sunandan more questions about this if you have them. But these are the courses that are really designed for students to start thinking about themselves and their place in the world. Right? Who are we? Where do we come from? What does it mean when you say that that you live in this country, in this society? That kind of thing. We can take questions on these later, I think, but I think I'll shift to sorry,
You
Peter.
can, let's move to English itself now.
Oh,
And if there are questions with regard to common curriculum, we will address it in the end.
okay, sure. All right. This is. I'm just going to quickly run you through the BA English program, which is also something I teach in. At APU, we think of the BA English program as something that's. I mean, usually when you think of English, you think of it as very proper, right? Like you need to know your grammar well. But I mean, we think of English as sort of a way, as sort of opening up many doors for anyone who does this course. Can we go to the next slide, please? Typically, our students come from a variety of backgrounds, and they each come with a sort of different experience of literature. Some of it is in English, some of it is in their mother tongue, some of it is actually really film or theater or music. And when we teach English, we try to bring all of these different kinds of narrative story experiences into the classroom. The BA English course, these are the core courses in the BA English. As you can see, they are color coded, and they are color coded because each of these courses is sort of trying to teach students a different kind of approach to language and a different kind of approach to literature. So English studies, if you Google this, you know this, right? It's a very broad field, and we've tried to design the curriculum in a way that students of different bents, students of different kinds of literary tastes, all find something that speaks to them in the curriculum. So the first thing, the orange thing, is, some of you might say, it's not really literature, it's statistics and society. But it's meant to equip students with the quantitative skills they might need if they decide to pursue research in English, or if they decide to pursue something allied field like journalism or media. So you'll notice we have several literature in context courses. These are the courses that teach students to study literary texts, both as forms, but as sort of products of specific contexts. These contexts are social, these contexts are formal, these contexts are historical, and so on. There's the romantics, which is, I suppose, what we think of as our proper traditional literature course, which in some ways teaches students to look at literary history. There are the two practice courses. These are courses really meant for students who think of themselves not just as readers of literature, but as participants of literature. People who want to be able to participate in the literary world, either as creative writers or as other kinds of public writers. And then we have the two perspective courses. These try to integrate different kinds of theoretical approaches with, in one case, literary text, and in another case with the city itself as a text, and help students sort of see how you would use these theoretical frameworks to think about the world. Could we move to the next slide, please? In addition to the core courses, students who do a BA in English will have a number of electives that they can choose. As you can see, we've broken these electives up into different kinds of into different kinds of pathways. What this means is that if you do 3 or 4 electives in a pathway, you will be fairly well equipped to pursue a future in that area. So one of the pathways is media and communication, um, which is meant to introduce students to different aspects of media that they might want to pursue in the future, right? So there's documentaries, there's journalism, there's digital text, there's media production. Literary studies and cultural studies are both meant for students who really want to pursue English literature or cultural studies in their higher education. Right? It's for students who want to engage more deeply with theory, students who want to engage more deeply with different kinds of texts, different kinds of contexts. Writing and translation are for students who might want to think of futures in these areas, who want to sort of produce their own texts in the future. Could we move to the next slide? Yeah. So as you can see, depending on what combinations and courses students pick, there are lots of ways you might think of your BA English degree as. There are lots of directions in which it might gesture you. Some of these these up here are areas where English students, humanities students from EPU have in the past. These are the kinds of futures our students have thought of. Research and higher education is, I think, something a lot of students do. Different kinds of jobs in the social sector, in design and content creation, advertising, media and journalism. These are all options. Teaching and education is another, I think, fairly popular option. The BA English degree also hopes to equip students to do storytelling, editing and publishing, translation, and other kinds of things. So, yeah, if you have any questions, I think we'll keep them for the end.
Yes, I think we will take it in the end, Shalini. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, yes, we now invite Dr. Raditi to take us through the BAP philosophy program.
Hello, hi everyone. Am I audible? Yeah. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I think unlike with English, economics, history, these are courses familiar to most of you from school, right? With philosophy, the first question I always get is, what is it? And frequently when I ask people what philosophy is, they think, is it psychology? Is it something else? Is it to do with religion? And the answer is no and yes. Philosophy is a lot of things. So instead of just giving you the curriculum, I want to take you through some of the kinds of questions that we ask in philosophy, because fundamentally, what we do in philosophy is, we're like those annoying kids who never grow up because we keep asking why, we keep asking questions. And that's really what we do with our curriculum as well. We learn to ask better questions. We learn to identify problems. We learn to find creative solutions to those problems. And we do all of this by working with each other. So working collaboratively, which is, somewhat in contrast again to this kind of stereotype of the philosopher off by themselves, deep in meditation, thinking all alone. That's really not at all Azim Premji University's philosophy program's vision of philosophy. Right? So, for example, we might ask, how do ideologies and other forms of social control maintain social imbalances? This is one of the key questions guiding our course on power and agency. Beauty, what exactly is it? Is a song, I mean, if I hear a song and I say it's wonderful and you disagree with me, is there a real disagreement? Is the goodness of the song purely subjective? Is it just up to me? Is it merely in the eyes of the beholder? Or is beauty something out there? Can we actually arrive at some agreement about what is and isn't beautiful? This is one of the questions to be covered in our course that's called Arguing About Art, where we talk about art and aesthetics, ranging over a range of different kinds of art forms. Is it okay to lie to one's friends? When, if ever, is it okay to lie to one's friends? Right? This is a question, maybe it's something you've been confronted with. Can you tell white lies? Are all lies bad things? Is dishonesty ever permissible? Right. This is one of the questions that we'll be asking in our course on ethics. What happens when new evidence challenges an established scientific theory? Right? Or what are kind of the metaphysical foundations of science? How do scientists reason? What happens when they disagree? These are things that we study in the philosophy of science. Why should we value biodiversity? So we hear a lot about the importance of maintaining diverse ecosystems, but what exactly is the value of biodiversity? That is something which we tackle amongst many other questions in our course in the philosophy of environment. Next slide, please. Thank you. How about immigration, right? We are facing, and this is related both to the environment and to politics. The way the world is going, we are facing various, lots of waves of migration and immigration all over the world. With the impending climate crisis, there will be this problem of climate refugees. How should we think about immigration? Are we ever justified in limiting immigration? Under what conditions are we justified in doing this? One of the questions for our political philosophy course. And that question about free will, am I actually here because I want to be here? Are you here because you want to be here? Or is something broader at work kind of controlling you? Or rather, what does it mean for you to choose to be here freely? Are you only here freely if the future, if everything that's happened is in some sense truly open? Right? This is one of the questions. This problem of free will is one of the things we think about in our course on metaphysics. It's about understanding reality. Individual responsibility, right? If I don't print out that email, or if I don't take a flight, or if I switch off all the lights in my house, am I actually doing something for the climate? Am I actually making things better? If I engage in charitable giving and I give somebody something, am I actually battling poverty by doing something like that? Again, these are deep ethical, political, environmental questions that a range of our courses study. Can individuals other than human beings have minds? So this is something, think about things like robots. How about animals? Do animals have minds? Or do only you and I have minds? How do you even know that I'm a human and not a very intelligent machine designed to talk to you? These are some of the questions driving our course on science fiction and mind, one of our first year courses. And how do we experience things in our everyday life? What can we learn from experience? What can we learn from other people's experiences, if anything? Can we only ever know through our own first-person experience, or can we learn from other people's experiences as well? These are some of the questions that we'll tackle in our course on phenomenology. So that's just, in a nutshell, to give you a sense of the kinds of things we study. And if you're wondering, that's a lot, it's wide, it's huge. With philosophy, you can really do anything. Because what we're doing to some extent is asking the most basic, but also the most profound questions in a way, the questions that are kind of even about other disciplines, right? So one more thing about philosophy is you can do philosophy with many other disciplines as well. A lot of what we do is we meddle with other disciplines. Sometimes we ask questions about the foundations of those disciplines. We may have courses in the philosophy of literature. We might be thinking about the philosophy of history, a course in the philosophy of measurement. So in a way, with philosophy, we're also constantly engaged in dialogue with other disciplines and with the world around us. So it's just looking at the world around us and asking questions that try to help us make sense of the world around us. Next slide, please. So you may also want to know a little more. So now you know what it is. Why should you study philosophy? Well, you should study philosophy if you're at all curious, if these are questions that you've ever wondered about, if you want to have a kind of systematic method for answering some of the most troubling and important questions, if you want to learn to work with other people. But what philosophy gives you, and here's one of the things that I really want to emphasize, is it's not about who said what when. It's not, intellectual. So it's not learning about the great figures of the past. It's not memorizing anything. It's giving you skills. It's giving you a set of tools that are transferable. Something like critical analysis, problem solving, communicating ideas clearly, both orally and verbally, working with people from a range of different backgrounds, people with whom maybe you have nothing in common, but learning to understand them and work with them towards problem solving. learning to disagree productively, because not all disagreement is bad. And it's important to know what to do in the face of disagreement. And then using abstraction, using abstract ideas in a variety of concrete contexts. One of the questions that came up in chat, I think, is what kinds of jobs can I get with the BA in philosophy? And I guess the answer is, can you think of a job that requires you, I don't know, to think analytically, to write clearly, to communicate effectively with others, to solve problems? That's pretty much every job, right? So philosophy prepares you for a very wide range of careers, anything that really calls into question these crucial skills. I've had students personally who've gone on to careers in nonprofits, in law, in legal theory, in journalism, consulting, education, bioethics, the civil services, publishing. Really, they're pretty much anything that's not a professional degree, you can do with philosophy. Next slide, please. And the last thing I want to kind of leave you with is, again, what's distinctive about philosophy here at Azim Premji University is that the way we do this, it's really about looking at problems, looking at themes, and not doing this in a historical way. So it's not, we begin with like the ancients and then come all the way down to the 21st century. We look at concrete problems that concern all of us, and we base our courses around those. We involve a range of traditions, not just Western philosophy, but other philosophies as well, and methodologies in our teaching and studying of philosophy. We provide a lot of extensive support, one-on-one support in reading and also in writing. Many of our courses have field components where you actually will use, again, something unusual in philosophy in general, but you'll have components where you actually do field work. So you'll actually be applying these abstract ideas to concrete contexts in your courses themselves. As I mentioned before, a lot of interdisciplinary possibilities. And of course, there's a possibility, as you heard from the beginning, of internships. And again, because philosophy talks to so many different fields, there are lots of these possibilities, as well as, of course, advanced honors work with one of us. So I think that's it. If you have any more questions, I guess that's for the end.
Yes, thank you so much, Aditi. I think that was very well detailed, I must say. Right, so we move on to the next subject. So this is, I'll invite Dr. Sunandan. Sunandan will take us through the social science. Now, BA Social Science is a program that's being introduced in our university from coming year onwards. That is 2023. This will be the first year. So he will take us through the BA Social Science as well as BA History. Over to you, Dr. Sunandan.
Thank you, Bida. Once again, thank you for attending this webinar. So I'll be talking about BA Social Science and BA History. First, I will introduce BA Social Science. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so I think there's a slide before. Okay. Okay, well, I will just, I think one slide is missing, but that's fine. So this is first time we are introducing a social science program in our university. And it is a very different program that is usually we have in other universities. Social science means there are different subjects starting from political science, sociology, economics, anthropology. All these subjects are generally classified under social sciences. And we have in many universities different degrees in this. Our social science program is now kind of a different program that's introduces not just in the name of the degree, but also the way the curriculum and the courses are structured is kind of different format. And so that's why we are calling it a BA in social science. And social science courses, if you look into the compulsory courses that is listed here, you will see that there are two kind of ways of the courses are structured. And that is the very fundamental principles in the way the curriculum is formed. The first idea is that you should have, there are usually in the systems, usually degree undergraduate programs, what we do is that theoretical courses are structured in the classroom manner, and then you may have some practice in the internship. But here we are trying to approach it in a different way. The idea of theory and practice as not two separate things, but to integrate both in each course. So in each course, you will be not only studying what already existing knowledge and theories within social science, but how are people doing that? How do social scientists work on these problems, and how do they arrive certain conclusions, etc. You will be practicing each course. You will be practicing that theories that you are discussing. For example, you have certain methodology courses. Say, for example, the first course is titled as Seeing Like a Social Scientist. In that, you will be considering our campus itself, the university itself as a society, and how different issues of stratification, social relations, identities, bureaucracy, all these works, how power works in the system, etc. You will be learning through practice, but also discussing through how these are discussed in other theories and formats. Here, we will be taking examples, integrating examples from earlier disciplines I mentioned, like economics, anthropology, sociology, political science, etc. So we have a set of courses which will enable you to think about methods, social science methods, and practice that methods. And you'll be using that in other courses that are, integrate, that are actually a kind of, the courses are structured like taking a problem and analyzing that problem. Say, for example, the first course or the third course is key concept, which you discuss the various ways in which various categories are used in social science, not just in one discipline, but various disciplines. The next course, for example, caste question, looks the idea of caste from sociological, political, economical, and other perspectives. Similarly, religion, gender, also agriculture, indigeneity, power and politics, and modernity. These are the major questions. These are the 10 compulsory courses we are offering. And then we will have a chance to both, as I mentioned, you will do it, practice the theory, and also you theoretically understand the practice. So we want to integrate these disciplines on the one hand, and also the methodologies on the other hand. Can we move to the next slide, please? So elective courses, these are just some courses we are already listed, but there will be other courses also. Elective is also kind of, as in economics, Anand mentioned, these are particular areas in which there are faculty expertise, and you can also, if you are interested in a particular area, you can take more than one course in that particular elective, and say you can make a minor in that area, or you can continue your further studies in that particular area. So we have a variety of kind of electives we are thinking about. These are based on political theories, gender studies, history and sociology of science, gender and science, public health, etc. Other contemporary courses and media studies. These are the courses we are now listed here, but also there will be more courses. Can we go next slide? Yeah, so what are the career options within social sciences? Again, as other people mentioned here, what we are doing is not just specializing you in doing one particular major, having certain understanding of what sociology says about caste or something like that, but we are trying to develop certain capacities which will enable to you work in the very different fields which I mentioned here. Many people will be continuing in social science and working as school teachers, college teachers, or researchers in the field of social sciences. You can, as a social scientist, you will be very much welcome in journalism and media field, because we need a lot of media analytics people who can analyze and do creative work in media. You can work in many different kinds of social sector jobs like public health, policy analysis, and content development in different ways, which content development these days works in digital media. You can be part of that. So these are some kind of areas in which you will be able to work. And in social science, like all other disciplines, you will be able to take, if you are interested not just in social science, but say in science also, say physics, you want to parallelly study, that's the 4-year program's advantage. You can take a number of courses in other disciplines. And so you will be deciding what do you want to do. The time you join, you may select a major, but then you can take up courses from very broad into whatever interest you have. So I will be moving next to history, but before that, if you have any questions, you can type and we will be answering soon. So now we have BA History already. We have a program in BA History that's a 3-year program. Now we'll be moving next year onwards. This will be like all other majors. BA History will be a 4-year program. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So what we are trying to do in the usual, if you look into usual history curriculum in all other universities, you will see that what the undergraduate courses are majorly trying to do is to chronologically cover history of India, South Asia, world, etc. And periods, understand different periods and state and other formations from those periods separately. Our basic idea of history courses here is to develop a historical sensibility. You know that in the contemporary world, history is the mostly debated topic, very sensitive topic, and all of us know that the past many ways influence us, and what is that past is the question we are asking. And we know that there are many past is not homogeneous, and so it is from that approach we are trying to develop different courses in history. When we do that, the understanding is usually in the school. You will be learning dates, names of the kings, emperors, their policies, etc., which are important. We are not saying that are important, but we'll be more looking into social phenomena. What is happening? How do people live in Harappa? How do people live in 15th century India? So these are the kinds of questions we are interested. Of course, in this, state policies are part of it, but not as a centered focus of analysis. Social phenomena is our focus of analysis. And so the idea is to have a kind of historical sensibility when we look at certain things. Say, for example, when we look India, can we say that there is something called ancient India? Because there was no India at that time. So what that mean? Why do we call something ancient India? Because India is a recent formation. So these kind of historical questions we try to analyze. Finally, also, it's not just understanding of the past, but past is very much, this knowledge of past is very much practiced in the present. You can see it in stories, you can see it in media, you can see it in museums and archives, you can see it in monuments. So how do we practice history is another question we engage in this undergraduate program. Can we move to next slide, please? So these are the compulsory courses. As you can see, as I mentioned in social science, history also is not something that you learn what other historians have already written. This is a course in which you practically learn what do historians do. So we start with, instead of having ancient India or a course on ancient India or something like that, we start with doing history. The course will introduce what do history means, how do historians classify time, how do they do analysis, what is evidence, what are the sources, what do you mean primary source, etc. These are the questions historians work with, and so you will be familiarized with doing history, and then you will be studying also very different periods. Our history program is majorly located in India, but also we look larger phenomena that was influenced formations of social practices in India. So you will have both history of India courses from history of India, but also different courses on world history. So these courses covers various periods, but also mostly arranged in themes. Next slide, please. So, like all other majors, history also offers certain elective courses. These are the 4 themes we have listed now. We'll have very different courses in these. Each theme you will have different number of courses. The first theme is economic, labor, and environmental histories. So you can take we may offer courses that analyzes history, economic practices in the past. We may look into the environmental studies, not just in the present, but how environmental transformations happened in the past. How do we understood that, etc. And social and intellectual, the theme social and intellectual histories will analyze histories of ideas, histories of social practices, and transformation in those practices. Public histories deals with the knowledge of archiving, museums, all other kind of institutional practices in which history is practiced in public. And finally, comparative and connected histories will analyze or will engage with, will familiarize you with different kinds of connections all over the world. Say science as a connected mode of knowledge production. Science is not something happened in Europe and spread all over the world. Scientific knowledge was always produced interconnected ways in multiple parts of the world. How these connections happen, how trade happened through Indian Ocean. So these kind of questions are asked. How are the idea of religion in different part of the world and different time periods? So these kinds of questions we engage in comparative and connected histories. Next slide, please. Again, similar kind social science, like social science, there are similar kind of opportunities you can, after the undergraduate program in BA History, you can move into become further studies for becoming a historian or teaching in schools or colleges. That's one major option. Many students are already doing that. But we have students who are already passed out who will be working in film and media studies, social sector, including archives and other places students are working. You can be part of many kind of social work NGOs which deals with social issues, for whom historical analysis is very important one. I think I will stop here.
Yes. Thank you so much. Anjali, before we move on to the next slide, yeah, thank you. There's always a question about the job opportunities that one gets after BA, but you've already answered that. So there's one question which I'd like to take, which says, is the pedagogy different from the way history is taught in school? Or is it, that's something that I think everybody is leaving school, so they'd like to know how history is differently taught in colleges.
Yeah. Many students, I don't know, my own experience from school is some way, like disappointing, because history texts do not allow. Generally, the idea in the school textbook is that past has already happened. So the idea of the textbook is to describe that past. Whereas we consider that no, that past is constructed by certain people through certain research. So we want to know how people create that past. And so we will not be just learning text. Reading and writing is very important. That will be a lot of reading and writing. But through that, what we are trying to create past, not just describe past, or at least analyze past. So it will be very different. You will be actively participating in creating or analyzing past, not like passively, by hearting the years, the policies of certain emperors, etc. So the classroom approach will be very different. Of course, there will be lectures and all that, but the approach itself is very different.
Okay, so that means applying for a master's in social science after doing a BA history is obviously a clear pathway, I guess, right? They should be comfortably able to
Yeah,
apply.
that's the one thing about I think all our undergraduate programs, our majors here. If you are doing a BA history, you will be certainly capable of, say, doing an MA in political science or sociology in, like other social science fields, other humanities fields. You will be able to do a postgraduate degree. And in our current situation, what in future we don't know, all of the social science programs, the qualification of BA is any BA you can apply for any other MA program.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So Nandan, if there are more questions, I might come back to you. We have around 10 more minutes, so we'll try and see if we can take some questions. So, all right. Anand, this is a question for you. We talked about the internship when we talked about the occupational track. Yes, so we talked about the 7th semester being an internship. So just wanted to know if this internship is going to be arranged by the university, right?
Yeah, the internship is going to be arranged by the university. There will be, of course, some dialogue between the student and guided by the faculty in what area and so on. But
Okay.
The internship in different organizations is going to be arranged by the university.
Okay. And one more question on the 4-year curriculum. Flexible courses starts in the final year, or how is it? When does the student decide when to opt for the subjects?
So the flexible courses are available throughout. They don't start in any particular year. In fact, in the first year itself, there will be some space where students can take flexible credits. Typically, in the first and second year, the students' curriculum will be heavily loaded in favor of the disciplinary major. So typically, from the third year onwards, space will open up for the students to take flexible credits. But there is nothing stopping a student from taking a flexible course right in the first semester itself.
Okay, and I'm guessing same goes for the electives in the BA subjects. If they wish to take an elective from another disciplinary major, that is also open to all of them, right?
Exactly. So that's what the flexible credits are for. So you should be able to take an elective in another major. The only thing to remember is that some of the electives have prerequisites. So if you want to do a course in microeconomic theory, introduction to economics will be a prerequisite to that, which is why the number of flexible credits is high enough so that you can take the prerequisites and then take the course that you want to do. But in principle, again, all these courses are open for all students to take.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. There is a question. There is a question for Shalini. This I did see that if I think I understood the question as I'm still learning the language English. Can I still apply for an English major in asset engineering?
Yes, of course, please. So, I mean, and I think this is true for all of our courses. We offer a lot of support, including language support. Particularly in the first year courses, you will get a lot of language support. I think from this year we have supporting courses as well in language and maths that will run in the summer, and students who want to work on these things can. But in addition to that, from the BA English point of view, yes, you can. We offer a lot of in-class support for students who are maybe not that comfortable with the language. So you need a certain amount of basic fluency because there's a lot of reading. I mean, you can guess this, right? There's a lot of reading to do in a BA English course. And there's quite a lot of writing as well. But I think if you're willing to put in the amount of work it takes to do that, then we actually offer a lot of language support for students who are just having trouble with, a bit of grammar, maybe who need support reading something very complicated and so on. So I don't think you should let your worries about your language prevent you from applying. Please apply.
All right. And of course, there was a question that do we need mathematics to apply for history? I think I'm going to take the liberty of saying no, because Sunandan did clarify, and so did Anand clarify that you do not need mathematics in your 11th and 12th to apply for any of the programs. I do see some of the questions which is already answered by our colleagues with regard to admission, but once again, to reiterate, this time the entrance exam is not subject specific. It is a general exam that every every person from all disciplines apply. It's only at the discussion stage, at the interview stage, that we will be testing your subject knowledge. More about to understand why you chose, why you wish to study, and what is the learning that you already had, and that's a kind of a discussion that happens. So the written examination will not have any subject-related questions. Okay. All right, and let me just do once again a reminder on the admission timelines. The round one admissions, which is open right now, the last day to apply is 24th of November. We just have 4 more days. The entrance exam is scheduled on 24th of December, and this is an online center-based center-based online exam. You need to apply, you need to visit our website. If you have not applied already, then please do apply to the programs. And we are hoping that the interviews will be scheduled at the earliest by January, wherein the offers will be extended by Feb. This is the timeline, so please take note of that. And okay. So there is one question on philosophy, Aditi. I'd like to say that. Can we opt for BA philosophy if we didn't have the subject in +2? I know you've already answered this. You started your talk with that, but I think we'll just talk about it once again.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. I don't think we have a single philosophy student who's done philosophy in +2. Very few places even offer this. The only prerequisites for philosophy, I think, are curiosity and some kind of intellectual tenacity. That's about it. That's all we ask of you. So yeah, certainly you can. Hope you do.
Okay. Thank you so much. Excellent. So that brings us an end to our webinar. Please note that this is available on YouTube for you all to watch at a later date. All the subjects, the core electives are listed on our website. Feel free to go through it. And if there are any questions that you may have, please write to us at outreach@apu.edu.in. I will request my colleagues to post that in the chat as well. And yes, so you already have the email address. Please reach out to us. Tomorrow at the same time, 4 o'clock, we will be addressing and we'll be inviting faculty of our BSc and our BSc B.Ed courses. So please join us tomorrow. Thank you so much, and looking forward to meet you all in the interview stages, because I'm sure that everybody will clear the exams. Thank you so much.